The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to prep your tissue. If you haven't noticed already, I'm in the sauna. If you don't have access to the sauna, you need some sort of external heat source. And that could be anything from, if you live somewhere hot, going out in the garage for 5 minutes. It could be a shower. You don't even have to get wet, just let it steam up. You could use hot pads, anything that gives you external heat. By far the best way to do it is the sauna though, so I'm gonna give you the best case scenario, okay? The second thing that you need to do to prep the tissue is you really need to hydrate. Hydration is the #1 thing that helps your fascia, and that's ultimately what's causing the migraines by clamping on your brain. If you notice, my water is pink. I've enhanced it with electrolytes. I like Nuun tabs. I don't work for them, I don't sell them. Anything that you prefer to use for electrolytes, but I just wanna make sure that you're actually getting hydrated, okay? So far we've got external heat, hydration, and then internal heat. And internal heat is anything that gets your heart rate up. So I don't care if this is a brisk walk, just moving around and stretching, anything that you can do to get your heart rate up to about 120 plus beats per minute will do the trick, okay? And the reason that you're doing all of these things is that fascia, when we're hurting, is more crystallized, it's tight, it feels almost like a piece of paper. And when we can heat it internally, externally, and hydrate it, you're gonna get tissue like this. So it just makes the fascia blaster protocols, which I'm gonna give you in just a second, even more effective, okay? So step 1 is to prep the tissue. It can be skipped, but if you're really trying to long-term fix this, you wanna prep your tissue. Okay, so once you have prepped the tissue with heat, if you have time, hydration, and cardio, we're gonna move into the fascia blaster protocols. So one of the things I want you guys to know is that the fascia that comes all the way up the arms ends up in our jaw, actually inside of our brain. Some pieces come across. There's also lines of fascia that go all the way down the body, but I can tell you I've been able to kill migraines pretty quickly by focusing on the chest up, and that's what we're gonna be doing in this video series. So the first thing that you wanna do is grab your blaster oil. We do sell this. You can spray it on and not get it on your hands. Plus it smells good like coconuts. If not, anything that's nice and slick where the fascia blaster can move over the tissue is just fine. So you're gonna grab your fascia blaster, get it right on the Ashley Black logo, put your hand straight through the middle, okay? The technique is fast and reasonably surface. If you're having a migraine, then in all likelihood, the fascia is literally like pantyhose, just sort of trying to roll up and get inside of your head. You're gonna be surprised, particularly if you have a migraine on whatever side you're working on, just by opening the forearms and the hands and the arm, it's gonna start to lessen the pull up in the head, okay? So you can do this for as long as you want. Just for time's sake for the video, I'm just gonna do it for a few minutes. I just wanna show you all the places to hit. So if you notice, I'm taking a single claw and I'm going from my wrist all the way into the elbow joint on the front. You can already see the circulation. You see how red that is? That's awesome. That means we're starting to pump blood, and that's what happens when we get migraines is we get stale, okay? Then I come on up to the shoulder, come back across like this, and then I'm gonna just do the same thing down the other side. It's kind of like when in doubt, just do it all, okay? So there's no wrong thing to do here. I like the double claw, right up the inside of the forearm, and then I hit the inside of the bicep, okay? So I would say all in all, if you're really, really tight and you're having a hard time getting red, you wanna do this, just one arm for maybe 5 minutes, okay? Then, very, very important is the fingers, and it's a different technique. So you're gonna take one claw and you're gonna go down in between the fingers. See how I'm pushing it down, and then I want you to wiggle with it. And you're just gonna work all the way up in between each finger. I'm pushing and wiggling, wiggling. Now, I can tell you on me, I'm a manual therapist, so I have all kinds of issues in my hands. When I'm pushing here, I'm feeling it shoot up here, okay? So you may hit somewhere in your hand that goes all the way to your head. All right, so we're gonna do it in between each joint like that, and then flip it over and do the same thing push and wiggle, wiggle. And what we're trying to do is to separate the fascia in between the bones of the hands. Okay? And then the very last thing in this arm series is to just fascia blast the hand like this. And I'm very surface, but I don't know if can you pick it up on the video? Do you hear the I actually have some nasty fascia right here and it's making noise. And then get in the hand just like this. Okay? Now, definitely do it on the other side. Just for sake of time, I'm only showing it on the one side. And I can tell you, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but I already feel like this shoulder has dropped a little bit. I was kind of getting this. Yeah. I actually do get migraines, and this is one of the things that I've happy I've been able to solve with the fascia blaster, because that way I don't have to run to the therapist every 5 seconds. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going back to the blaster oil. I'm going to spray it on liberally, and I'm going to take the fascia blaster in 2 hands just like this. I want you, before I even get started, to go revisit the picture in the blog, because I clearly show the fascia line that comes from the thumb all the way up the arm, across the pec and over. And this is so important, because when this line of fascia gets tight, guess what it does, folks? Pulls us like this. Then, if our shoulders are forward and we lift up our head, there's no chance of having our head on top of our body. And that really, really compresses the neck. It can cause blown disc. So it's not just about scrubbing out your pecs, it's about opening the pec and the fascia so that the head can actually rest where it's supposed to, which is on top of the body. Okay, with all that said, no further ado, you just grab the fascia blaster and you go across like this. And if you don't mind zooming in, I want to actually get the sound of this, because I think it kind of freaks people out. Okay, because you are going over bone, and that's fine. If you look at the lines of fascia mixed in with the intermuscular fascia, you'll see that coming out of our sternum are some of the thickest lines of fascia, and this is amazing. Okay, so you just scrub it all. You can do big strokes if you find a little spot. That's why I kind of stayed over here. I actually get my migraines on the left, which was why I went off on that. I forgot I was doing the video and just started treating myself. But you can do little strokes like this. They just need to be fast and surface. Or you can do that over here, or you can take it like this and go literally all the way across. And that is how you hit the front arm line, as well as the deeper layers that go into the pec fibers. There are 7 lines of fascia that come up and go inside the jaw and then go inside the brain. So in terms of migraines, you'll probably notice that there's a strong correlation between people who have TMJ issues and who also have headaches. And usually people can say, oh, I feel it here, and I feel it here, and I feel it coming up. So even though I'm calling this the jawline video, really anywhere that you're feeling it along in here, I want you to go ahead and do it. So again, always start with oil. The fascia blaster does not work without it, okay? So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and oil up, and then take the fascia blaster and literally get right up under your jaw. Can you zoom in and really see where I'm going? Because it's very, very tight, okay? Most people wanna like stretch it this way and try to get into it, but the best way to do it is to shorten the muscle a little bit. Did you see how that opened up? Look, if we're leaned over this way, it's harder, okay? So I'm just going in the direction of the jaw, and it feels amazing. I actually do have some crystallized fascia in here, so it's totally appropriate to come along here. Then what I like to do is take one single claw and just do like we did with the hands in part 1, which is to push and wiggle, wiggle. And then if you do get them on the side of your eye, you just take the fascia blaster any way you can hold it and go all along the temple like this, okay? And if you get on something good and you want to do a push and a wiggle, wiggle, you can do that, okay? So there's really 2 different techniques in working with the fascia blaster. There's the fast scrub, which is like a big brush stroke. It really opens long lines of fascia. But then if you want to be targeted on little tiny pieces of fascia, it is the take a single claw push and wiggle, wiggle. And that's the end of this step. All right, guys, step 5, we're almost finished. Again, we always start with oil. Now, I know many of you probably see massage therapists, or you can reach up and you go, oh my God, this is all one clump, or it feels like a huge rock. That's in part because it's not just one muscle being in a knot. If you look at the anatomy, and again, you can always refer to my blog, there are many, many muscles all coming and intersecting. Okay, so the fascia blaster is just designed to pull them apart. Almost think like an orange, and you pull each individual piece out. That's what we're trying to accomplish here with the fascia blaster. So I like to single-hand it. I have some people that go in the middle. For this particular technique, I like to get it closer to the handle, and you just come across just like this, okay? And then you can get it in the middle. Some people go across. It just depends on what feels good to you. I don't really care, but the technique is to go up and down kind of the muscles of the SCM and the scalene. Okay, so I'm staying to the side. I do want to warn you that deep inside here, and again, you can review my blog for the anatomy, is the carotid artery, and you want to stay surface to that. So once you start to loosen all this up, and by the way, let me just watch me turn this way and then turn this way. I mean, I have so much more range of motion. I feel like I could do a left-handed golf swing. It immediately increases range of motion, and it actually immediately decreases the tension. So last but not least, for the neck, this is everyone's favorite. If you have a Dowager's hump or any type of hump right here, in fact, I used to, usually it comes from having a curve in the back and lifting your head like this, and then the fascia starts to chunk up right here. Here's your technique. You grab the fascia blaster, both hands, and just scrub. Okay? You can go side to side across it or up and down. Okay? It doesn't matter. Either technique works. You can even go side to side across your neck. Either way, it's going to separate that fascia. And then last but not least on this, going back to the poke and wiggle wiggle, you can take the claws and dig them right into the back of your head. Right into those attachments of where the erector spinae and other neck muscles come all the way up. Can you zoom in right on the one claw? So right there at the base of the spine, just digging and wiggling, I can feel it in my eye. Okay? You guys, the body is all connected, and we can't just focus on the head if we're trying to release the boa constrictor grip on our brains by fascia, because fascia is everywhere. So that's the end of the next step. Just make sure you do all the way around. All right, so the last step, I must really love you guys, because I think this may be the world's ugliest videos ever shot of me. You're gonna need hair conditioner. A lot of my kind of long-term migraine people started just doing this every single day in the shower. But while your hair is wet, mine is actually wet from sweat, which is kind of gnarly. But what you want to do is go ahead and make sure that you've got a nice slick surface. I would not recommend putting blaster oil in your hair just because it's hard to get it out. So hair conditioner is the best thing for this. And then I'm wiping my hands off. Just make sure you have a towel in the shower or sun or wherever you're going to do it. And then you are going to do, guess what, everybody? I know you're like, oh, is she going to fascia blast her head? Yes, I am. We have, it's one of my favorite fascia words. It's called the Gaylieb aponeurotica. And it's where all the fascia comes over the scalp. And this is totally incredible. The technique is just to scrub directly on the top of the head and just keep on going. You have to pick up from time to time or else it'll grab your hair. Okay, and I just have the claws right on my head, going all the way down. The more of these prongs that you can get on your head, the better. Okay, you do it all the way down the front, just like this, and then you're gonna come across. I can single-handedly do it. Come across the side of the head. In fact, my left side, where I do get migraines right now, it feels like little sparks are going off. And that's awesome. It means that you're releasing your poor nerves from the grips of fascial distortion. Okay, and then obviously you'll do the same thing on the other side. And the moral of this whole video series is there's really no wrong way to do this. You're just trying to make sure that all of the fascia coming up from the upper body that goes into your head is not going to grip on your brain. So I don't want you to feel like you have to have the whole, I don't know, this was probably a 30-minute program start to finish. You don't have to do all of that. If you have a migraine and you're at work, you can run to the bathroom, quickly do your arms, maybe do a little bit on your head, do it at your desk. If you're a mom, you got screaming kids and it's causing a headache, just say, hey, I'm gonna go take a shower, do your head. The whole point of fasciology and the fascia blaster and everything that I'm trying to accomplish is to help empower you, the viewer, to take your health into your own hands and manage the headaches when they come on and begin the process of preventing them by restoring your fascia.